Hey everyone, this is Coloring Chemist. My name is Connie, and welcome back to my channel. This is another one of my experimentation videos. Now, I did get this idea from another video, and if I can go back and find it on YouTube, I will definitely link it below. As of right now, I haven't been able to find it though. So once we get into me sort of showing the techniques that we're going to be experimenting with, if you have watched the video that I can't remember who put it out, and I can't even remember if it was a coloring channel or an art channel, and I'm not able to find it myself. In other words, if you look at the description and I don't have another video linked, if you know and could let me know, that would be great, and then I can put the link in my description, because I always want to make sure I give credit where credit is due, but I cannot find where I got this idea from. Anyway, we are going to be working with Neocolor IIs. Now, this is a page where I want to do a Neocolor II background. And I don't know if you can see it. Oh, there, you can see the shine. Can you see when I move it? That is masking fluid. So that's not a finish that I put on there. Now, with this technique, I actually may not have needed to do this, which is one of the reasons why I want to explore if this technique works. But because this is, by the way, this is in, is it Arsteter? Forgive me if I mispronounce that, or pronounce it incorrectly. Seasons by Maria Trolla. So the reason I wanted to kind of protect these areas up here is there's snow, right? There's snow in the house, there's snow in the trees, there's a snow bank, there's snow. And I wanted to maintain the whiteness of that. So I used some masking fluid. And by the way, for those of you who have always thought, yeah, masking fluid would be neat, but they got the brush and it gets in the brush and it's all goopy and I don't want to, deal with that, I have these. They make using masking fluid super, super easy and quick. They are by Pebeo. Now, I'm sure you can probably get other brands as well, but they are masking fluid or drawing gum markers. And this is two different sizes. They actually come in more sizes than this. They call this a 4, and this is a 0.7. The 4 has a nib that's that sized. So basically, kind of like the acrylic markers, that kind of medium. I think they call that a medium kind of nib. It's that hard, kind of fibrous nib. So that was the 4. And the 0.7 has a nib like that. It's just that plastic pointed nib. Now, the one drawback of these, and you can see this funny little design on the lid here, they come with an extra nib, 1 per pen, so you get 2 nibs per pen. I find, I don't know, when I need to do this, I don't know. Pretty much after every use, the nib gets pretty gummed up, and you can't really wash it out. Or I mean, I've never tried that hard, but so I'm putting a new nib in every time I use these. But what I do is I go on to Temu, AliExpress, one of those places, and I buy, hang on, I'll just grab it here, spare nibs. And this is one of the best purchases, I think, or the most useful purchases that I've made in terms of, I have a bunch of acrylic markers. Do the nibs clog? Yes, because I'm not washing them. But you know what? I even tried washing them each time, and they still didn't perform. They perform best when they're new. They just do. Now, am I throwing away little plastic and little fiber nibs all the time? I guess so, yeah. But to me, it's better because then I actually use my supplies rather than they sit there and don't get used because I think, the nib it's going to get all clogged and it's not going to do what I want. So these are just, what are they called? It's like 100 fiber, I forget what they called them, fiber marker nibs or something like that. And I mean, 100 of them, less than $10. This is a couple packages put together, but again, they call them acrylic marker nibs, I guess, 0.7 millimeter, right? And these ones are does it even say the size on here? I don't think it does, but if you get the ones that kind of that yellow roundish fiber nib, those will be the ones. And I just replaced them. So you notice both of these have brand new nibs in there. After I did this, I just took the old nib out and replaced it with a new one. I haven't activated it yet, so there's no masking fluid in there, but I will next time I go to do it. And you activate them just like you would, you know, this kind of an acrylic marker. You know, you pump and then keep pumping until the fluid runs down to the nib. There's a ball in there, so you have to shake it. This one has natural latex. This one is latex free. I'm not allergic to latex, so it doesn't make a difference to me, but be aware of that. If you do have a latex allergy, make sure that you're getting the latex free version. I just happen to get these probably because I saw them on sale. One was latex, one wasn't, but like I say, for me it doesn't matter. So I put the masking fluid down. Don't know if I'll need it or not. But before we get to this, we're going to do a little bit of experimenting and playing. And this is something I actually want to make a video about in general, not just for this. So much, for me anyway, happens behind the scenes. You guys don't see. You know, you'll see me show my finished pages at the end of a month, and I've done a background, and it's, you know, maybe it looks cool, maybe it doesn't. But you don't see all of the experimenting and playing around that I do on just pieces of paper before I ever put, in this case, crayon to paper in my actual books. And I think that's a really important thing to note. You know, if some of you are feeling stuck and in a rut and you're thinking, you know, I want to take my coloring to the next level, but I'm scared and I don't know what to do, and you have to kind of be brave, but be brave on something that doesn't matter, right? Is this paper exactly the same as the paper that's in the book? No, it's not. So I do have to anticipate, you know, it's going to react differently. But here, we're going to be trying out some color combinations to see if they work before I put them in there. And I do want to do a little test here, and this is where it comes down to this new technique that I'm experimenting with. So there's a number of different ways you can use Neocolor IIs. Neocolor IIs, of course, are the Caran d'Ache water-soluble crayons. And so you can color them directly onto the paper and then activate them with water, and they dissolve, and you can kind of move them around that way. You can just take a water brush or a paintbrush dipped in water and sort of lick the pigment off the end of the crayon and then just paint with it. You can scribble this onto like a plastic palette or a plastic cutting board and then pick it up with a water brush and paint with it that way. All of those ways, great, fantastic ways to use the Neocolor IIs. I like scribbling them directly onto the paper and then activating them. But here's the problem I always have, and this could absolutely be user error. No matter what I did, I always ended up with an uneven kind of streaky finish. And then you have to kind of go back and play with, you know, taking more color off the end of the crayon and touching up patchy places. And that's certainly, you can do that. And I think, you know, lots of folks do. But I just kept thinking, is there a way to get a smoother finish? And so this is where the what I was mentioning at the beginning of the video, the long lost video that I can't find, this is where that video came in. I saw someone doing a different method of activation. So before we do that different method of activation, let's just do the standard method. So this is just water and a water brush. I've scribbled out some Neocolor II here. Right, so you can activate it. I tried to put down, I don't know, it was kind of a lightish pressure, lightish medium pressure when I was putting the crayon down, so there's not a ton of crayon down. Right? That's just water and a water brush. And, come to think of it, sorry, I feel like I'm all over the place here today. Let's zoom you in so you can see what's going on. Oh, and today, of course, my zoom is not going to work. Oh, of course it's not. Hold on 1 second. There, now I got it to work. Oh my goodness, Connie. So, a little bit more. So, obviously, you know, this is just printer paper. That's all this is. Just thin, kind of cheap Walmart printer paper. It did dissolve the Neocolor II quite well. Neocolor, that's never been a problem with Neocolor IIs, right? Some of the cheaper water-soluble crayons, you know, you'll get, some of it won't dissolve on the page and you get little streaks. I mean, Neocolor IIs dissolve really well. But this does look a little patchy. I also have a water brush, and I've talked about this before. In addition to water, there's also some Winsor & Newton, what do they call it? Watercolor blending medium mixed in. So it just comes in these little containers. If I had to guess, it's probably, doesn't tell you what's in here, probably would if I went on the website. Could be some sort of blending medium. Could be Oxgall in here. I don't know. I don't know what's in. No, Oxgall would have a color, wouldn't it? I'm not sure. But I mixed some of this in with water in the water brush. And that actually, usually, does help to, oh no, it's splattered water. Oops. Well, let's do it, since I splattered water on this one down here, let's do it down here. It does help sometimes to allow, oh no, Connie, never squeeze your water brush directly over what you're supposed to be blending. Do as I say, not as I do. It does sometimes help for things to be a little less streaky and patchy when I'm activating things, just because that blending medium that's also mixed in with the water, just, I mean, that's what it's supposed to do, right? It's supposed to help things blend. Sorry, that'll dry down in a minute here so you can see it. That got to be a little bit more water in there than I anticipated. And I guess with the top one, oh, now I didn't go back over it, did I? Kind of went back up and down on that last one. But I mean, even if I did, I think you probably will see a difference. Now, it's gonna look kind of speckly and blotchy because this is cruddy paper. The two new, so we're gonna let those dry and then we'll come back to them. The two new ways of blending, not new as in I came up with them, like I say, I have seen these, involve one of these and one of these. Or if you don't have something like this, one of those round, one of these makeup brushes, right, that we always use for blending inks and stuff. I mean, there's a big one, but you can get different sizes. And I think the person I was watching was using one of these. Did I see someone using one of these? I might have. I can't remember. Like I say, if you know, if you are the person or if you know of the person who showed this originally, please let me know in the comments and I will absolutely link that video in my description. But I just wanted to see if I could get a smoother blend, particularly, you know, and we'll try it down here when I'm going from color to color to color. And the way the person used these, let's try this one first. So this is just one of those little blending brushes. I don't know, they come in packages. I forget what they're actually called. They're not called dry blending brushes. Darn it. If I can find it on Amazon, I'll link it below. And I have a little dish here. It's actually a little shallow Corelle dish. It's got just a little bit of water in the bottom, and it's sitting on top of a piece of paper towel, because what you want is not a lot of water on here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this brush, dip it just in the water, just a little bit, kind of tap it off. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just sort of tapping it off on the paper towel, just so there's a little bit of water in here, but not much. And I just want to see, well, that might have been a little bit too much water. Is this, what kind of effect does this give? Is it a good effect? Is it something that maybe is going to give a smoother finish? Interesting. Now, this, you can see, picked up some of the pigment. This is quite a bit lighter than that. The water brush doesn't pick up sort of the pigment. This did. So I'm just going to dip it into the water here and kind of scrub it off on the paper towel just to get some of the pigment out of there. It's certainly smoother. You know what I mean? Like, you can even see, like, for here you can get kind of streaky bits, and you can see at the top there where I kind of went back and tried to kind of move the pigment after it had dried a little bit. Even this one down here, can't quite see, can you? I think less streaky. So this is the one that had the watercolor blending medium. But, I mean, it's a lot lighter though. So I'll have to take that into account. And then the other way was using one of these. Now this is a pan pastel tool. It's actually not a pan pastel brand. It's just a cheap knockoff from Amazon. And it's one of these tools, right, that has, you can get ones with a rounded end, with a pointed end, and then you've got these little socks that go on there. And it's used for blending out pan pastels. But I could have sworn I saw someone using this to blend out their Neocolor IIs. It was either Neocolor IIs or maybe Inktense. It was something that you put on the paper that was water soluble, basically. Now, these are foam rubber, and they're not going to absorb a whole lot of water. So let's see how this works. So again, I'm just going to sort of tap this. Let's see what I'm doing here. Move my water a bit. Move my towel maybe so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just sort of tapping this in the water, and then I'm just sort of tapping it in the towel just because I don't want a whole lot of water in there. Might have to practice a bit to get the amount of water I want. That feels a little dry. And then they just did this. Still feels a little dry. And they did this too. You kind of have to keep, unlike with the little round brush we had a minute ago, you kind of have to keep dipping this because the foam rubber isn't going to absorb really. The only water that's on there is just what's sort of sitting on the surface. So you kind of have to keep adding water, which is kind of a pain. Whereas that round brush did tend to absorb some water. I think it holds up less of the pigment though. See? And then it does. So if I want to get that off, just it might stain it. But like I say, I got a little bag of these and some of these for, I mean, it wasn't very much money. Gotta be careful. So, interesting. What do we think of the methods of activation? This is the smoothest, but it did pull up some pigment, so it's lighter. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. Okay. So what I want to try now is so these were some colors that I thought I was going to use for the background. So not only am I testing out the method of activation here, I'm also testing my color blend before I ever put it on the coloring book. Because if I don't like this, then I'll change something before I go to the coloring book. So let's kind of sort of mentally just divide this in half, that one too. And we'll use the little brush kind of on one half, and we'll use the little foam blender thing on the other. So again, just we've got water, just now I'm going to tap it off. When you're blending Neocolors, you always want to go light to dark, because otherwise you're just going to drag the dark down over top. Now, I am not a master at this. That's a little bit wet. I just wanted to see, still a little bit wet, what kind of blend and this is an experiment. I'm I'm just playing around with this. I think I had a little bit too much water on there at the beginning. Okay. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm just dipping and then kind of scrubbing off the paper towel over here on the side because I want to get that blue out before I go down here to the yellow. So I'm going to make sure this time, maybe, hopefully. I'm just trying to see, I'm just on my thumb, I'm just trying to see how much water's in there. Let's try this. Lighter hand this time. I know you can't see what I'm doing because I have my hand over top, but I'm basically just... I think that might blend it too much. Okay. Single color gave a good blend, but I think maybe it's moving... Or maybe it's, you know what? If one of you wants to try something like this and you've got better technique than I do, you let me know. Because I think maybe it could be partly user error too. So now I'm going to try this little guy. Wet, but not too wet. Oh no. Oh, I got some of the dark at the bottom. How do I feel about that? Okay, so let's try the other one. All right, almost off camera there. I feel like with this little footy thing, I was better able to sort of maintain the various colors in the blend, whereas here they all kind of got blurred. I feel like maybe that was a better... I still think there's going to be a lot of practice involved. And this goes back to what I was saying. You have to be just brave, I think. You know, your favorite colorist, so see, now I'm scrubbing it too hard. No. Learn to leave it alone, Connie. When you see your favorite colorists and, you know, they're doing all these amazing, incredible, fantastic things, that's not the first time they've done it, or it probably isn't. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe they're that talented. But they had to be brave, and they had to try and make mistakes and learn from the mistakes and try again and try again and try again. So you got to be brave. All right. Well, actually, after all that, that's all the staining that happened on there, and I still think I could probably get more off. Probably when I'm done here, I'll probably take it to the sink and give it a good rinse. But, I mean, I think we got a gradient. It's fairly smooth. This is less... I feel like I dragged the yellow and the orange up too much because I was really hoping for some purple there at the top. But maybe I just needed to apply the purple... Maybe I needed to dab off color a bit more kind of as I... Because you notice I was kind of doing that too, right? You know, you kind of go over and do kind of the yellow-orange, and then I would sort of dip it in here and then dab it off in the towel because I wanted to try and get some of that off before I moved into the pink and coral, but maybe I needed to do that more. All right, well, that was some interesting experimenting. I think what I'll do now is I will pause the video. You'll be back in a second. It'll take me a while. And I'm going to lay down some crayon on that Maria Trollo picture, and then we will come back and we will together try and decide how we're going to activate that crayon. All right? So for you, I'll be back in just a second. All right, I'm back. Took me about 5 minutes maybe to just put some color down there. I have one of these, super handy, so I water at my desk all the time. And I'm just going to put a little bit of water in the bottom of this dish. I dumped and wiped out the other water that was in there just so I could have fresh, clean water. Got a clean piece of paper towel here too. I don't know. Now you can see that I've also in addition to putting on the shiny spots there the drawing gum or the masking fluid down, I've also taped a plastic cutting board that I've cut kind of a little bit more to size onto the back and sort of created a border with this is some, I think it's frog tape they call it. It's meant for painting, but it's super gentle and meant to come off easily. I don't think I've ever had tear paper, knock on wood somewhere. So hopefully it'll be okay this time. So yeah, so I've created kind of, there'll be like a little bit of a, maybe a, I don't know, ½ centimeter border around the edge of the page. That's so I'm not putting the Neocolor II all the way out to the edges of the page, basically. I thought I'd just start with inside the circle, and then I'm going to put some different Neocolors outside the circle. I don't know if I've put enough color down. We'll have to see. This might get, I mean, I know I'm looking at it on camera. It looks pretty light, but I didn't want, I don't know. You guys know me. I tend to go for very muted colors anyway, so maybe this will work for me. And here's the thing. Remember before at the beginning of the video, I was talking about being brave. I'm nervous, but what's the worst that could happen? If this turns out really terribly, I'll let it dry, and maybe I'll try and fix it with some pencils. Or I will let it dry and I will try and fix it with some chalk, some pan pastels, or maybe I could try fixing it with water-based. I could, if nothing else, I can put acrylic. You know, the acrylic brush pens, like the Langwo or the Artex or whatever. Let it dry, and then just cover everything in acrylic. Acrylic will fix anything. So, am I nervous? Yeah. But that's how you learn. Learning occurs, a little educational sidebar here. For those of you that don't know, I'm a teacher. I have been a teacher for, oh my gosh, it's getting close to 30 years. Meaningful learning occurs outside your comfort zone. And I know that's hard to hear and it's hard to grasp sometimes, isn't it? But if you're always in your comfort zone, I'm not saying being in your comfort zone is a bad thing. Please don't think that's what I'm saying. And there's times when absolutely, I just want to be in my comfort zone. So I get out a mandala and I get some alcohol markers and some glitter gel pens and I just put color to paper and that's all I want. So sometimes being in your comfort zone is a wonderful thing. But if you want to learn new techniques, just kind of push yourself a little bit, you have to get outside the comfort zone. So this is kind of outside my comfort zone. I don't normally like experimenting on camera because then you'll see all the things I do wrong. But let's just try and we'll do this together. I think I'm going to use the little blending tool as opposed to this. I already have some pale colors here and I don't want to make them like super duper pale. So I think I'm going to go with the little blending sock. I think I'm just going to dip it in water here and just make sure that there's no dark blue left on there from when I was doing this before, because that would be frustrating if I put it down on the yellow and immediately it was dark blue. we can zoom in a bit here. Kind of see what I'm doing. And again, you saw off to the side I had my little dish of water, some paper towels. So I'm going to be, you know, kind of dipping the little tool in the water, tapping off the paper towel, trying to, you know, figure out the right amount of water. I'm going to try this time to be more conscious about sort of cleaning the tool as I go from color to color. I mean, I still want to blend, but I don't want to just make it all one muddy color, if that, you know what I mean? All right, I'm yammering. Let's just give it a try. I think. There's our yellow. The reason I was thinking I could maybe even get away with doing this without the masking fluid is because, particularly with this blending tool that has a little point on it, you can get into some pretty small areas. So it's possible, maybe, that I didn't necessarily need, oh, there's a little yellow over here, I forgot, to mask off those areas. And I can get right up to the edge of that circle too, because I actually didn't mask off. Now I'm going to be doing some darker colors outside the circle, but I don't know, I'm finding you can get a lot of control. Maybe that's, I feel like I get more control with this than with the larger kind of brush blender. I think I'm being more careful than I was too when I was on the other page, when I was just practicing there. Maybe I'm going a little slower. Sorry, I'm concentrating, so I'm gonna probably not be talking as much. I feel like I could have used a little bit more color up in here. Now, after this dries, I can certainly, oh, there's a little spot in there too, come in and put another layer down, but I was trying to see if I could avoid that. I don't know if I'll be able to do that or not. Up into the pinky, peachy stuff now. Shift my grip a little bit on the blending tool. I get right to the edge there. Now, not to say that you couldn't get you know, a lot of control with a really fine water brush doing this, you certainly could. I just wanted to see if I could get a really smooth blend, because I'm not able to quite a lot of the time when I'm using the water brush. And like I say, that could be entirely user error. I can hear Mr. Coloring Chemist coming.
Ooh, what are we doing?
We're experimenting with a different way of blending out these water-soluble crayons to see if we can get it nice and smooth.
Water-soluble crayons.
Yes.
Ooh, look at that. That's very cool.
So you can see up here, it looks like I just scribbled with crayons,
Mm-hmm.
which I basically did.
It kind of looks like something I would do.
And then someday you're going to have to color on camera with me, Mr. Coloring Chemist.
That'd be interesting.
Wouldn't it?
I do love the tone. Love the tone. I think we could do it someday.
We could.
We did start a picture a long time ago. Jeepers, I got to get back on that.
That's true, we did.
Yeah, we did. So, but the color that's in the bird and the trees is not being affected?
Oh, sorry, no, the blue... Sorry, now I have to explain this to Mr. Coloring Chemist.
Sorry.
The shiny blue that you see is something called... it's either called drawing gum or masking fluid.
Oh.
And it's like a liquid latex. So you put that down
Okay.
to basically stop this color from going into those areas. And then once this is done, I will take my finger and take all that off.
That's interesting.
Because there's a lot of snow in this picture. And I wanted to make sure that that stayed white.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry. I came in halfway through and I'm asking questions that were answered earlier.
Okay.
That is very cool.
So yeah, these... Oh, see, I went over into the white a little bit there. Because I didn't... See?
Oh,
Oops.
okay.
Oops.
Okay.
That's okay. That's a tree part. That's not a snow part.
That's true. I'm sure you can fix it somehow.
Well, tree's going to be
Is
dark
that
enough.
the true measure of an expert? How to fix the mistakes?
Well,
Love
it's
that.
the true measure of I don't know, your commitment to the picture.
There we go.
You can either slam the book. We were just talking about this. You have to be brave sometimes, and sometimes
I like that.
you're being brave doesn't work out so well,
Mm.
and you have to. Well, I mean, you can just close the book and never look at it again, or you can say, okay, how can I fix this? And I was saying, you know, after...
That is so cool.
If I look at this afterwards and I think, oh, that is not what I wanted to happen, I can maybe take some pencil crayons, colored pencils, and, you know, once it's dry, just sort of color over it and try and fix it a bit. Or I could maybe, you know, take some markers or something and try and fix it. Or if all else fails, acrylic paint covers everything.
I love the options.
So
many ways.
If it goes super badly, you just get yourself some acrylic paint, either in, you know, little paint containers or like paint pens, and it just, I mean, you know what acrylic paint is, right, Mr. Coloring Chemist?
Yes.
Yeah. It'll cover anything.
Cover everything. Very, very dense paint.
So
Okay.
if this doesn't, but yeah, you can see how once I go over it with water, I just am putting water on this little tool thingy. But once I go over where the crayon scribbles were, they just kind of blend away, and you're left with just the color, the pigment.
Fascinating. So much technology in this art form now.
Well, there is a lot of science in
That's true, and you do know the science.
Well,
Well, you know most of the science.
Most, I know some of it.
Some of the science. Okay. Okay. I think you're being humble, but okay.
Hey, thanks, Mr. Coloring Chemist.
You're very welcome. That is very cool. I'm glad I came out to see where we were at.
Really? That's why you came out?
Well, I needed some snacks too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But this too. All right. I will leave you.
All right. Bye. Bye, Mr. Coloring Chemist.
Bye.
And now he's gone to get snacks. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, I think it's blending out pretty smoothly. Maybe I could have put down more crayon or pigment to start with. Because, I mean, it is pretty light. But I think it's certainly less streaky than, you know, than I would have gotten had I used a water brush. I think. I could be wrong. See, in areas like that where I did get a little bit of a streak, I feel like using this, it seems I'm more able to kind of go back and get rid of that streak, whereas I know with the water brush, every time I tried that, it just got worse. So, I don't know. Oops. There. So that's one layer of Neocolor. Certainly, I mean, I didn't put a lot of crayon down. Well, I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to let this dry for, I don't know, a few minutes. Actually, you know what I'm going to try and see if I can do? Make sure this thing's clean. I did get a little bit of Neocolor. Oh, look at that. I can lift it right off. Nice. Oops. Stuck a little bit of paper towel in the masking fluid. That's okay. Okay. So I'm going to let that dry. We'll come back and then we'll see what we think when it is dry. All right, we are back. While I was waiting for this part to dry, I went ahead and colored with the Neocolors on the outside part. I realized I never told you the colors I was using. This isn't so much a tutorial. I don't tend to do a lot of tutorials and color alongs. This was more experimenting with the blending tool. But and I'll put these colors down below too in the description box. If you wanted to know the colors for the inside here, I started with golden yellow, which is 020. And then I went to orangish yellow, 031. Then I went to salmon rose, 071. So this is, I was going sort of up from here and kind of in that kind of a pattern. This one, I don't know if I would have needed this or not. This is one of the new ones. This is light heliotrope, 092. You probably could have gotten away with not using that one. I think that's the only new color I pulled. These other ones should be in the 84 set. Periwinkle blue, 131. Now, I did actually have some light cobalt blue, 661, in between the pink and then this periwinkle blue. But I don't think I would. In fact, I think you could probably get rid of the light cobalt blue. I think you could probably go straight from the pink into the periwinkle blue, and I think you'd be fine. And then here, I was using sky blue right next to the circle. And then I went to, sky blue is 141. Night blue, 149. was sort of the next step out. And then on the corners, sorry, missed a spot there, indigo blue, 139. So sort of that order. All right, so that's basically the colors that I used in here. Now that this is dry, I don't know. What do you guys think? We can come back down and take a look. I mean, it is pretty pale. It's certainly not as smooth, I think, as, you know, let's say if I would have done this with inks or like chalk pastels. I probably could have gotten a smoother blend, but I was just really trying to see if I could get a smoother blend than I was normally getting with my water brushes. I don't know. I think it's not bad. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the little footy tool again. I don't know why I call it that. That's not what this is called. A blending tool? I guess that's what this is called. It just looks like a little foot. See? And I'm going to do the outside now. So what I want to remember is you want to go from, again, you know, light to dark. And I realized I hadn't put any masking fluid around the inside edge of the circle. So now I'm really going to be testing, can I get right up to the edge without actually going into the picture? So that'll be interesting. Gain a little bit of water here. Let's just start. That was a little bit dry. You can kind of feel if it's a little bit dry, because it doesn't kind of want to slide on the page. Kind of feels like it's catching. So then just dip it a little bit. I think I've got a hair in there from somewhere. Did I get it off? There we go. And I'm not, it might look like I'm kind of scrubbing at the page, but my hand is, I'm just sort of letting the weight of this glide over the paper. Like I'm not pushing down. Sorry, I probably should have said that before. I was going to go all the way around and do the light color first, but because I can kind of clean that off, I want to see how the blending is going to start working here. So you can see, you know, that's not a great blend. So what I did was, over the side here, try and get that darker blue off there as much as I can. And then just kind of go back over that area and just smooth that blend out. That's where I was really finding this easier than the water brush method, because if I went back with the water brush and tried to smooth out the blends like that, I don't know, it just all came crashing down. It didn't work. Well, now we're getting into the darker, was it indigo blue in the corner? Very light hand. And if I want to go back up into the lighter area, right, to smooth out any areas of blending that I think need to be smooth, you got to make sure. I mean, you would do that with a water brush too, right? You would make sure that there's no darker color still sitting on the brush. Otherwise, you're just dragging the darker color up and over the... I mean, I don't know. Don't know. You know what I was thinking we could have done? We could have put some watercolor blending liquid into the water bowl. Because I'm struggling a bit now. I feel like I think I need a little bit more water in there too. I feel like I'm going back over areas too much, and it's causing oh, lost my little sock. It's causing some patchiness, which is what I was trying to avoid. That was a lot of water. If you get a lot of water on there, it's going to kind of bleach it out. Not, I use that word incorrectly. It's not bleach. It's just going to basically lift the pigment off, and then you're left with a whiter area. Should I maybe have had a couple of these with different feet for the different colors? You know what I mean? So I wouldn't have to worry about, you know, having to go over here on the side and take the dark off all the time. Don't know. I think maybe what I'll do is I will pause the camera, because I highly doubt that you guys want to watch me do this whole thing. And I mean, I'm just basically going to keep doing what I've been doing, right? I'm going to activate from light to dark, more or less. And then I know I keep going back. I should probably not do that. And then I will bring you back at the end, and we can see what we think. Maybe this was a failed experiment. Maybe it's not. But I'll bring you back when this is all activated. Well, I don't know that this was a successful experiment. This is now more or less dry. Yeah, it's still pretty patchy. It did give an interesting finish, though, almost like a cloudy kind of finish, like I don't know how to describe it. Instead of, you know, like streaks like I would get from trying to you know, blend with a water brush, it's more, and maybe if I use the water brush better, I would get a different finish there too. But yeah, I don't know. Like I say, it is what it is. I'm gonna work with it. In fact, I'm probably not even going to worry about smoothing it out with pencils. I'm probably just going to leave it because I'm kind of lazy that way. But what I may do when I'm finished coloring the image is I may take white acrylic ink and do like a spatter snow technique, because that's been my go-to lately. When all else fails, make it snow, and snow will cover it all up. Not cover it up, but it makes it so that your eye is looking at something else. I don't know. I think it worked more successfully in the smaller area. I think the blend was better there. The large area, maybe I should have gone with this for the large area. Maybe that would have been better. Maybe. Now, it could also be user error. Like I say, I do not use Neocolor IIs very often, mostly because I always end up with this patchy look. And, you know, if I want that really lovely, smooth, seamless blend, it's easier to get if I'm going to use inks or if I use like gel crayons, you know, like the King Art or Gelatos, and use them dry off of a palette with, well, one of these brushes or like one of those bigger makeup brushes. You can get that really beautiful seamless blend, or like chalk pastels, you know. Maybe I'm asking the Neocolor IIs to do something that they're not capable of doing. I don't know. Or it could be user error. Because I know I've seen other people get fantastic, beautiful backgrounds. But I think when those folks, you know, kind of zoom in, their backgrounds aren't, you know, seamlessly blended. They're, you know, a little bit patchy. Maybe I needed more crayon down. You know what I mean? Like maybe I should have had more product on the page and that would have helped. Don't know. But thanks for sticking with me and experimenting with me. If any of you try any of these techniques, either using like a brush like this or a little blending tool like this, let me know. Let me know down in the comments, you know, what kind of results you get. If you go to the homepage of my channel and you click on the About, you should also be able to find an email there for me. If you want to send me pictures through my email for my channel of what you've done, just so I can see, that would be great too. I know I would say Instagram, but you know what? I have an Instagram for this channel. I never use it. I think I've used it 3 times and that's it. It's just, we'll talk about that another day, why I tend to not want to use Instagram. But yeah, or you can just let me know down in the comments if you try this. What do you think? Did it work for you? Does it give you a neat effect that you like? You know, maybe this is just an effect you could go with the flow and work with. You know, maybe I can take some white chalk pastels and put some little clouds in and then make it snow. I don't know. We'll have to see what I do. But yeah, thanks for sticking with me for my experimenting. I'm adding this at the end because I think this is a public service announcement that probably needs to be addressed. I had forgotten that I had treated this page with workable fixative once upon a time. And I put the masking fluid down, and I thought after I put it down, it was kind of stickier than it would normally be, but I'm like, it'll be fine. I can't get it off. And I have this little masking fluid eraser. So there's your public service announcement. Do not put masking fluid on a page that you've treated with workable fixative spray. Because I don't know that I can get this off now. Like, it is not coming off. Well, that'll be sad if I can't actually finish this page because I can't get the masking fluid off. So yeah, there is your public service announcement for today. That is, yeah, do not put masking fluid down on a page that you've treated with workable fixative spray. The end. I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone is well. And I hope everyone is enjoying their coloring. And remember, and I'm stealing this blatantly from Lisa Taggart off of Inky Bliss. Amazing channel. She's a multimedia artist. She was in Ireland. She's now in Portugal. But she always says that too. She says, be brave. You know, experiment. That's sometimes where the fun comes in, and that's certainly where the learning comes in. Now, if you're not feeling brave and you just want to, you know, stay in your comfort zone, that is okay too. But get outside that comfort zone. That's where the learning's going to happen. All right, folks. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.